This week, I'm doing an all-access tour of the sim rig. I realized when putting this video together that I started this build 15 years ago, and it's still evolving. But here's what nobody tells you about flight simulation. Once you start adding hardware, well, that rabbit hole gets pretty deep. How deep? Well, that's the number one question I get asked. What does it cost to get a setup like that? Well, we'll get to that today shortly, though I do think you'll be surprised. Stick around while I walk you through it. By the way, I'm not affiliated with any of the brands I'm about to talk about. I bought all of this kit myself over the years, and I use them because I like them, and they work really well for me. So let's get into it. Right, so some of the oldest kit in the rig are the Saitek Panles. I went all in with Saitek yoke, throttles, followed up quickly with multi-panels, radios, switch panels, instrument screens, even rudder pedals. These panels are long in the tooth today, but are still very versatile, and for around £100 each, they've definitely earned their place in the rig. The setup stayed like that for a long time, but here's how the game changed completely for me. I had all these Saitek panels scattered across the desk, but it felt really messy. That's when I spotted the Volairsim avionics panel online to mount all the Saitek panels onto. It was the upgrade that gave me a real cockpit feel, and it's been central to my setup ever since. It might be time for an upgrade soon, but at £280 at the time, this is another piece of the setup that owes me nothing. The control surfaces are managed with the Thrustmaster pedals, the Honeycomb Alpha with the added checklist, and the Honeycomb Bravo with the 3D printed handles from ProDisc Sim, really bringing that 737 feel together. But the CockpitSimulator CDU at £600 is one of the most immersive parts of the simulator. Being able to configure the flight without the need for a single mouse click is amazing. And if ATC gives you a shortcut to a direct waypoint, you can make that change without shifting your main view from the outside world. It is one of my favorite parts of the whole setup. At this point in my story, even with all this kit, I was still flying a desk. So how do I level change again? Enter the TrakRacer TR120. It's an extruded aluminium racing chassis at heart, sturdy and very stable. TrakRacer offer flight sim add-ons too, and planning for the future, I opted for the quad monitor stand. The total was one of the biggest individual costs at £1,250, but what a difference it makes. I custom fitted the GT Omega seat that I already had for, it was about £200, and with that upgrade, my flight sim hobby became a permanent fixture in the spare room. No setup time needed anymore, clamping kit to a desk, just powered it up and away we go. 3 34-inch ultra-wide HD monitors totaling about £1,500 and giving a massive 10320 by 1440p and a near 180-degree field of view with them mounted on the TrakRacer stand. Now, I've tried VR in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it's absolutely mind-blowing, but there's nothing quite like reaching out your hand and actually touching the switches and dials. So triple screens are the way forward for me. Which do you prefer? The realism in the rig is really starting to build now, but there are a few big components still needed. Here's what came next. The VRinsight 737 Overhead Pro. Another big investment at £960, but versus £5,000 for available alternative products at the time. It was still expensive, but wow, wow, wow. Out of the box, it comes with black, red, and white caps for the switches, so I had the switch guards 3D printed to add a more authentic look. Hey, it's not one-to-one scale, but it's plenty big enough for my setup. And mounted high and right on the TrakRacer quad monitor stand, I think it gives that cockpit ceiling feel without fully enclosing the setup. There are even more options available for overheads today, and WinWing just announced a scale A320 overhead for just $350. So if you want an overhead, whichever one you go for, I'm sure you will love the extra immersion it adds. And talking of WinWing, the most recent update to the rig is the WinWing MCP and EFIS panels. Compared to competitive panels, the price and quality of these is unbelievable, and WinWing or Wind Control are totally disrupting the flight sim hardware space, and I can't wait to see what else they bring to market soon. Finally, the simulator PC itself. It's a Ryzen 9950X3D, 64GB RAM, and a 3080 Ti, which even at triple screen resolutions manages 30 frames a second at medium settings. The 3080 only has 12GB of VRAM though, and that's the main bottleneck I have right now. So do I stay NVIDIA and upgrade for frame generation, or is the play a 7900 XTX with twice the VRAM? Hit the subscribe button and I'll let you know when it happens. All of the hardware except the yoke are connected to a second PC running SPAD.next. It's a B-Link mini PC which has an i5 CPU and 16GB of memory, and it's more than enough to take the load. I originally got SPAD to run the Saitek Panles, and now it runs most of the cockpit, including the WinWing and the overhead. It can be a little complex, but most of the profiles can be downloaded using the online snippets feature, which makes it really easy. So, there it is. It's heavily designed towards the 737 MAX today, though it can switch to a 172, an SR-22, or even a Honda jet really easily. Look out for videos on those planes coming up. Plus, if I swap out the Honeycomb Alpha for a Mazda R16, well, now it's a truck. Or maybe even a GT race car. Flight sim is the main passion though, and I've purposely built this rig to be as versatile as possible. I'm loving the 737 right now, but maybe I'll switch to Airbus in the future. Who knows? Whatever happens, the versatility will definitely remain, even if the primary cockpit of choice changes in the future. Right then, the final reveal. The answer to the killer question. What does it cost to put a sim rig like this together? So that's a lot of money if you spent it all at once. But look at it like this. I've spent the £9,000 over 15 years. And that's how this hobby works, right? You upgrade, you enjoy it, and then a few months or a year later, you add something new, and we go again. Break down that £9,000 over 15 years, and it's only £600 a year, or £50 a month. That's barely a gym membership or a single night out. So, is flight simming too expensive? Or is it as easy to manage as any other hobby? Let's carry on that discussion in the comments. If you want to see the sim in action, click the link on screen now. We'll be back in the skies next week with an ILS auto landing procedure into Kingston, Jamaica. So take care, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time.